Hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Before I start today's makeover, I thought I might have another look at another new version of a Matchbox car that I bought from the supermarket the other day, and just again compare it to the new style of cars to the old style of cars. So I'm going to open it now and we'll have a look at it together. So it's the Matchbox Ford Police Interceptor, ages 3 and up, made by Mattel. Looks strange, it's got no police insignia on it that you'd expect for if it looks like that, it'll be very strange. Anyway, I was comparing the box. Before we go any further, I was comparing the box, right? Have a look at this. This is a reproduction box that I made a while ago for the RAF pressure refueler. This actual box has, let me see, I counted the words on it. Okay, I counted the words all the way around it. Here, and here, and here. And it has 20 words on the box. Now compare that to the modern version of the Matchbox packaging. Okay, you've got a few words on the front here, just 6 in fact. On the top, there's a whole lot of words. There's 126, I counted them. On the ends, there is 36 and 26. And get a load of this, on the bottom, 384 words. Now, I can't guarantee that's accurate because I lost count halfway through. A very, very small font and packed on there like crazy. And again, on the back, there's 313 words. So this has got 20 words. And the new version has, drumroll, 829 words on it. And I bet the kid that gets it can't even read yet. It's glued shut as normal. Let's have a look. Oh, nice touch. Wrapped in some waxproof paper. Okay, let's have a look at it. What the heck is that? Okay. Well, it says on it Ford Police Interceptor, so I was kind of imagining like police markings on it. But what is this? New York City. It's got a T on it. I don't know what the heck that means. T. It says it's a police pursuit vehicle. What is it? It's made in Thailand. And it just says Ford Police Interceptor. Now, I am not familiar with Ford cars, in particular, especially modern ones. So I don't know what type of Ford it is, whether it's a special one for the police, I don't know. I do like this little picture of an elephant there, though, look, to signify the Thailand connection. Anyway, the base is held on with 2 rivets. A lot of detail on the underside there of the engine sump and the drive chain from probably the automatic gearbox, I don't know. Some more detail here with the muffler or the exhaust silencer, depending on where you come from. We call them mufflers over here. On the front there is a barge bar, sort of for carrying out a pit maneuver on the freeway and putting lives at risk by shunting a car recklessly across the dividing intersection across into the oncoming traffic. I'm sure you've seen the videos. Anyway, I think that's what that's for just smashing people off the road. And there's a load of little things here. I'm going to have to zoom in on those to see what they say. The paint job is not particularly good. It's a bit wishy-washy. Have a look around the back here. You can kind of see it's not a very nice thick coat at all. It's a very thin coat, if anything. Probably like just a few microns thick. And you can actually see sort of the undercoat or the colour of the metal showing through. So yeah, maybe they should have put a bit thicker paint on there. I don't know if those are decals or whether it's stencil spray. It looks like paint. The red headlights, the tail lights. A fair bit of detail on there, a little fuel cap there. And the interior all black. It gets hot in summer. And there's a couple of seats in the back. You can make out the headrests there. Probably baby seat in the centre. Although, no, you wouldn't put a baby in a cop car ordinarily, would you? Indicators are painted yellow on the front. But there's none visible on the back, really. So, I don't know, a pretty ordinary car. Wheels are very sort of boring. Not a lot of detail in them. There's some, maybe there's a black sort of spoked effect there. All in all, I mean, a neat thing. Runs extremely well and freely. But a little bit boring. I'm going to zoom in on these and see if we can see what they say. It says flat rate to the airport, JFK. And what is that other thing there? What's that say? God, I can't read it. What does it say? Something fare met. It's a bloody taxi. Hang on. Ford Police Interceptor. I thought I was getting an emergency vehicle. Oh dear. Well, there you go. I'm very disappointed. If my young son, or if I have one, was keen to get a police car for his collection, I would have bought him this without knowing it's not a police vehicle. So someone can probably explain. Maybe the Ford Police Interceptor is a brand of Ford vehicle and they just called it the Police Interceptor. I don't know. But I was expecting an emergency vehicle, hence the lights and everything. Didn't really didn't even look at the packaging, to tell you the truth. I just grabbed it, thought it was cool. Well, there you go. That's that'll go on the shelf somewhere, I'm sure. But yeah, I do feel a little bit foolish. So let me know in the comments if the Ford Police Interceptor is not just for the police. Thank you. Right, we'll go on to the makeover video now. So here we are. Today I should be doing a makeover with a difference on this Mercedes-Benz ambulance. It's a king-size Matchbox. It's the number K6B1 and they came out in 1967. So this year, this model could be 58 years old and it is looking its age. This little ambulance looks extremely unhygienic in its current state. It looks like it's been dragged through a hedge backwards, as my mother used to say. Really tatty paintwork, fair bit of corrosion on the front right hand wing, dodgy looking tyres, and of course the decals will need replacing. And all that silver grille on the front looks so drab. It looks like someone's coloured it in with a graphite pencil. So a lot to be done. Also, the light blue transparencies are scratched and scuffed up and extremely dirty. So having a better look, you can see the base is held on with 3 rivets. It says on there, the Matchbox King Size K6. Now, this has got a sticker on the top. It says 236. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take that off. Now, I would have put that on there, and it looks like I actually wrote on the roof too, prior to putting the sticker on there. And that would be the package that was delivered to my place that had this car in it. It was opened off air, and going back a few years now, it was the 19th of October in 2020. And the guy that sent it to me was David Kelsey from New South Wales in Australia. So David, I hope you're still around, and if you're watching this video, thank you very much for contributing to my channel. So I happen to have a Matchbox catalogue here from 1969, and I'm hoping to find this model in here somewhere just to give an idea of what was available at the time. There's one there, and I thought, yes, that's it, but no, it's not. That's the smaller one, the 175 scale model. So here we are in this king size section, And on the second page, there it is there. And you can see, it looks better in the picture than it does in real life. It's got a patient on a stretcher there. And this model came with a patient on a stretcher, and it would slide in the back and click into place. Unfortunately, this one's missing it. It's probably very common to find these models without the person that goes in the back. Some stickers on here, very small. I have to do a little bit of research on those. The door sticker is the emblem for Kent in England. It's also featured on one of the small 1-75 fire engines, the same shield with the white prancing horse. Just having a look inside. Doors are very stiff to open. There's a steering wheel in there. A few seats. And it's supposed to have steering at the front where you tilt the model and the wheels are supposed to turn in to the side that the model's tilted. It was like a feature. Auto steer, I think they called it. Doesn't seem to be working too well, but then again, it's 58 years old. So we'll see if we can free that up. First off, as usual, I'm going to take the base off by drilling out the rivets. Well, somebody mentioned I should try center drills. I've never even heard of them. So I looked them up, and I bought a small pack. And I'm not too sure what the advantage of probably is that you can drill out the hole that you are going to tap if you're putting the base on with a screw. And then once you've drilled down, the wider part of the drill would then take the rivet off, I'm guessing. So it's a kind of a one step instead of two step to drill the hole out for the screw when you're putting them back together. Anyway, I'll give it a go. Don't have a lot of confidence. I've been doing the same thing for such a long time. I don't like change necessarily, but I thought I'd give it a go anyway. This looks like it's a perfect size for that tap, just slightly undersized. So the tap will still have some metal in the hole to cut a thread in. I'm going real slow, and it's a very slow drill. It seems to be drilling very slowly. Eventually it gets going. Maybe the rivet was a little bit hard on the end. I don't know. But okay, so I go in there and I think I better stop now. And of course it hasn't actually reached the rivet that's holding the base on. So I have to go again. Going in deeper than normal. It kind of seems a bit weird. Feels a bit uncomfortable doing this, just in case it's overcooked. Looking at that. Maybe I should be able to prise that off, perhaps. That's my thought, so I'll give it a go. I don't want to break anything at this stage. Sometimes you break things pulling them apart, and it's not much fun trying to put them back together again. That's holding on tight. Might have to try and drill it out a little bit more. That's more like it. Ooh, it's still very tight there. Okay, safe separation. Same on the back. Alright, now let's have a look inside. No spiders or anything in there, which is good. Sometimes these old cars have little spider nests in there. Makes you a bit squeamish. You never quite know what you're in for until you take the base off. That's a weird bit. It's like an extra piece. You've got the base held on with the rivets, but you've also got that rear bumper bar. Now check that out. There's a little piece broken off there. And not too chuffed about that. We're going to have to try and repair that somehow. Already it's going pear-shaped. Two rivets holding this king size windscreen on. Obviously it's a lot bigger. So twice the work involved. This is how I get them out. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that worked perfectly. And the good thing is that you're not sort of putting any stress by trying to lever the windscreen out, because if you do, sometimes they crack like real easy, because it's quite old, don't forget, they're quite brittle. So that worked well. That beacon, remember I said I'm going to do something a little bit different with this model? Well, this beacon's going in the bin, and I'm going to replace it with another beacon, and I'm hoping that at the end of the build it'll be a fully functioning flashing blue light to make the model more exciting than it is. I was going to take the tailgate off, but I've noticed that those edges of the hinge point there have been bent over towards the rear in the factory using some sort of machine or a hammer or something, and to try and take that tailgate off is just pushing my luck. So I'm going to leave that and work around it. Now look at this overly complicated steering setup on the front here. That very thin strip of plastic in the middle there is the return spring. That's all it is. It's held together quite well over the years. Quite complicated, a lot of little rivets in there and a few pivot points. So again, I don't want this video to be 3 hours long, so I'm going to leave that set up and work around that also. So I am cheating a little bit with this one. Now, part of my plan today is going to involve this suspension strip. So I need it to function as it's supposed to function. Now, it's a little bit weak at the moment, so I'm just going to have to try and retension it with a little bit of applied heat and pressure to try and bend it back into where it should be. So I put those two little cocktail sticks in there to act as a sort of a pivot point, and when I heat this up and push down, then pull the sticks out, hopefully it will drop down against the base of the ambulance, and then we'll have full functionality of the rear suspension. So there we go, look at that. It's working better than it did before, and it's actually got full travel in those elongated grooves for the axle to move up and down. Alright, got to first up make up some matching paint, which is cream, and I don't really do cream very often, and I'm not very comfortable with it. Guessing I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to the white. I don't have any off-white, I've only got white, so add a little bit of yellow, maybe a touch of grey. Let's see how I go. Very awkward colour to match. Generous amount of white paint there because it's a large model, twice the size of a normal one, maybe even 3 times the size. Now I don't want to run out of paint, because once you've made up an off-white, if you run out of it, you've got no chance of recreating the exact same shade. So I just want plenty here so that I don't have to mix up a second batch if I run out. So I put a bit of yellow in. Still too white. It needs to be dulled down a bit. I'm hoping a little bit of grey might do the job. I'm flying blind here. Just sort of guesswork, really. Needs a bit more yellow in it, doesn't it? I mean, it's not bad. It's too white. Bit more grey, a little bit more yellow. Oh, hang on. Better to keep mixing it as you go rather than adding multiple drops of various colour, because you can overcook it. Oh, see that tiny little bit yellow? Look at the change. The change of the colours is quite dramatic. It's not bad. I want this to look like a new model. So if it is a shade lighter, it's probably for the better. I don't know why they didn't just do it plain white in the first place. Anyway, this is a Mercedes ambulance, and in Melbourne, Australia, the ambulance service still uses Mercedes vans, the Sprinters, and I love the name Sprinter, especially when it's associated with an ambulance, because you want it to get there quick. This is a separate assembly on the front, and again, I'm taking shortcuts. I'm leaving it in place and I'm going to work around it. Now, after paint stripping, this corrosion was worse than I thought. It's really rough. I have no idea what's caused that. It looks like somebody's dropped battery acid on it or something at a time, sometime in the past. It's really crusty, and it takes probably an hour of sanding and grinding and filing. Try and get it to a point where I can paint it and you won't see any bubbling through the paint. Very awkward. I used every trick in the book here. Probably 10 different types of file, abrasive pads, nail emery boards for nails, all sorts. Then I finished it off with a bit of wire wool. I'm hoping it's going to be good enough. And there's the bit that broke off, so I'm using the old super glue and baking powder routine to try and hold that in place. And the good thing is that the chunky the baking soda and the super glue, the chunky bit, is on the inside of the bumper bar, so it won't be noticeable when the base is back on. Still have to clean it up a little bit because I want the base to fit without any interference. This model was extremely time consuming, more than normal. It had a lot of quirkiness about it, a lot of parts that moved, and I had a lot of issues with it. It was actually, after I'd started it, I wished I hadn't, because I kind of bit off more than I could chew, and I spent a whole day in my hobby room just to get to this stage where I can put some undercoat on it. You know, when I have a new project, I like to see progress early on. It sort of spurs you on, adds fuel to the fire, makes you feel good. But this one didn't make me feel good until right at the very end. Once again, I was contemplating what to do with this, and once again I decided I would leave it in there. I wonder how long that took to assemble. I would have added a bit of time to it. I can't understand how it's supposed to work. It doesn't seem to function. Try as I might, I could not get those tyres to turn. Also, when I got all the paint off, have a look here. This used to belong to Mark, which was unusual. I mean, David from New South Wales sent it to me, so I wonder if he was related to Mark or whether he bought it at a store somewhere, a stall at a market. Mark at, no pun intended. And look at this. Tilly has come in here again. She's getting into the habit of coming in here. She never used to. And I'm always worried she's going to knock something on the floor or something. So I try and scoot her out every time she comes in. Just using a can of the satin black on the base, and I've masked off the wheels, and I shall be painting those with the chrome pen later. this looks not bad. A lovely casting, really. There's a little bit of roughness on the right-hand side at the back I didn't notice. I do address that and get rid of it. It's got the number plate, fuel flap, little toolbox on the side for bandages. And, of course, the grille with the Mercedes badge at the top of it. Very, very finely detailed, the actual grille itself. It's extremely well done. I'm spraying on the inside of the model first because I like to see how the paint is going on and what it looks like. That's a little bit of advice I'd give you. If you go full on straight onto the model, sometimes you're not happy with it and you're sort of committed and you wish you hadn't. So that's why I sprayed the inside first. I think this might need a second coat. Overall, not too bad. These are decals on the doors that I've had to replicate. I've printed them onto, this is just onto normal paper as a test to see if the dimensions are correct, but I print them on some clear backed transfer paper, and that way when I put them on the model, the colour of the model will show through, whereas if I used a white one, because it's off-white, you'd see a border around it. On the doors you saw those shields, that's to where the decals got to go, so that's handy, helps you out. And inside there's some armrests and a Matchbox or something. The inside is remarkably clean, and it's got a seat at the back for the paramedic, I guess, to tend the patient that would be on the stretcher on the left hand side under my thumb. And it looks like there's another seat there for maybe a relative to sit on if he wanted to accompany the patient to the hospital. Second time I've used the Polywatch polishing cream used for watch faces and similar. Somebody recommended it, or a few people have actually, so I got some, and I'm quite pleased with how it works. I mean, nothing is perfect, of course. But once I've given these a coat of varnish, should look like new, hopefully. Now what I'm doing here is, what I'm going to do, I'll let you into the secret now. I'm going to put a flashing beacon on the roof, and I need a battery and wiring inside the back of the ambulance. So what I'm doing here is I'm painting the side windows on the inside so they will obscure the battery holder and the wiring from view if you're looking in from the outside. I've chosen the blue because the actual windscreen itself is a slightly tinted blue, and I think it looks good with the white ambulance. Here's something I don't do often enough. I'm going to drain my compressor of water. Haven't done it for a while. So first of all, I vent any pressure out of that small water separator there. And now there's a bung on the bottom that I undo. And if there's any water inside the chamber, it should come out. And there already it's dripping out. There's quite a bit in there actually. Not as much as there was the first time I did it. I don't know how often you're supposed to do this. This is only the second time. I think in like 4, maybe 5 years I've had this compressor. It's served me well, and if you're getting into this hobby, that's all you need. I don't think it was even very expensive, to tell you the truth. Having painted that, I look at this and look at that. I'm so pleased. That looks amazing. It's transformed the transparency into a thing of beauty, and just looks so cool, the blue. Because I sprayed on the inside as well, the plastic just gives it that really high gloss look. So that was the original blue beacon, and this is the one I'm replacing it with. And it's actually a blue LED, and it was white, like white clear plastic, and it flashes blue, but I dipped it in some clear blue Tamiya paint so it doesn't look out of place when it's sticking up through the roof of the ambulance. And they're cheap. They're like 50 cents each, and they flash automatically. You just need a button battery, and they flash for like 6 months if you leave them flashing continually. So I've had to make another larger hole in the windscreen, the transparency there, so that I can secure the leads on the inside of the transparency when it's attached to the roof. Otherwise the wires would have been sandwiched between the roof and the transparency, and it probably wouldn't have gone together particularly well. So I'm aralditing this in because I want the beacon to be solid, so you can, push on it and it won't move. And first up, I'm going to glue the transparency back in, and then I'm going to glue the flashing LED in position and make sure that it's perfectly vertical so it looks good. Always worried about getting especially araldite on your fingers. If you happen to touch the body of the model and you've painted it and you've got araldite on your fingers, it's game over. I've done it a couple of times, so I'm very conscious of it now. So I've bent the legs of the LED backwards at 90 degrees. And I'm thinking, oh no, that doesn't look any good. But I realised I hadn't pushed it all the way through. I thought I'd underestimated it. Now it's in there. I'm just putting a big blob of araldite on there to hold that to the roof, and a cocktail stick there just to get the orientation correct. And I'll just leave that to set. It only takes 5 minutes, but leave it for longer than that, of course. I'm just tinning the wires here that I'm going to use to supply power to the flashing LED. This is called tinning if you're not familiar with soldering. You tin the parts by putting a small amount of solder on them before you attempt to connect them. And when you connect them, the combined amounts of solder melt and bond together a little bit easier than if you're trying to do it with just wire onto bare metal. Had to butcher the base there. Sorry to all you fanatics, but this wasn't really worth $5 really, this model. They're quite common, and this was a particularly bad example. So I'm doing this for my own fun, really. I'm a bit of a kid at heart, and it's just nice to mess around with things like this and try and make something that is unique. It's quite a large battery holder. It takes the 2032 sized battery cells, I think, quite big. And this is the switch mechanism I've made. I've soldered the components onto the base, and I've glued one of the contacts onto the moving underside of the interior, or something similar to that. I think you could see from the image. So when you push it down, it will make contact, and when you release it, that's why I was so obsessed with getting the suspension right, so that it will return and switch the beacon off and won't flatten the battery. Now, how am I going to fit these wires together? Here's a few things. There's tubular connectors that you just crush. This one is used for in the auto industry. If you're putting in a new light or something, you run your power through one side and then you put the accessory in the other. And when you clip that together using pliers, there's a little guillotine in there that cuts through the insulation and joins the two wires together. These here are something new I was playing around with. They're Wago connectors. They come in different sizes. All you do is you put your wires in there, push those levers down, lock them into place, and it's connected. Here's something else I've got. It's a small cylindrical tube made of heat shrink, and in the middle has a small ring of solder. So this is what I'm going to use today. I've had them for ages. I think I've only used them once when I repaired my generator. So here you put both wires into the sleeve, and you make sure that where they cross over and touch each other, the copper is underneath the central ring of solder. And then you're supposed to use a cigarette lighter, I think. I haven't got one, so I don't smoke. So I just use my little blowtorch here to melt the solder, and then after that just shrink the heat shrink, and the job's done. That's not actually the job, that's me just showing you how to do it, but that's what I do on the actual model, and I do it twice. So here they are here, look. They're quite a convenient and secure way of connecting two wires together. Now here I'm testing it. I've got the battery in the position on the battery holder, and I'm pushing down on the interior so that the suspension switch can activate the blue beacon. I'm happy with that. Wow, what a long journey this has been. Many hours spent on it, and a lot of frustration along the way. Bits breaking off, having to repair pieces, fabricate pieces, make it all fit and work. Very stressful build actually. And then of course the painting, trying to get the paint to look good. I hope you're pleased with the result, because here it comes. Wow, not 100%, I will admit, but overall not too bad considering all the things I didn't show on the video, all the mistakes that happened. Many hours spent, much more time than I anticipated, just to get this thing working and looking good. Here we go. Look at that. That's all I wanted. And now I've got it. I don't know what to do with it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you have, please like, share and subscribe. And recommend to your friends. This is something relatively unique. I guess somebody else might have done it before me. And nevertheless, I enjoyed doing it, even though it was a bit stressful at times. And I think the end result is a bit of fun. So thank you for watching. Until next time, this is Marty saying goodbye.